The parliamentary status was before we went on a 1-minute recess. Congressman Paulo Ortega has the floor to interpellate Mr. Espinosa. However, Mr. Espinosa requested the committee to be given time to recover and be able to answer the questions that will be propounded by the members. So you now have the floor, Congressman Ortega. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang araw po. Magandang araw po, Ginoong Espinosa. Okay na po, sir.
Okay na po, Mr. Chair. Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, sinusundan po natin ng sinumpaang salaysay ni Ginoong Espinosa at it was very striking po, no, lalo po doon sa number 21 hanggang sa 25. Ginoong Espinosa, Mr. Chair, ang pakiramdam niyo po ba ay nagamit kayo? Ginamit kayo sa lahat ng mga nangyaring ito?
Sa sarili ko, pagkaintindi sa aking sarili, nagamit ako at naging biktima lang sa mga nangyayari.
Noong pong sa sinumpaang salaysay niyo muli, nung kayo po ay medyo napilitan na sabihin po at magturo po ng mga taong inyong napagbintangan at mga taong naidamay, ang emosyon po ba na nararamdaman nyo ay yung takot po para, hindi po para sa sarili nyo, pero para po sa mga mahal nyo sa buhay?
Opo. Yes po.
May knowledge po ba kayo, meron po ba kayong kaalaman kung ano po tong narco-list na to, paano binuo, paano ginawa, paano inayos, paano na-validate, paano po nilagay yung mga pangalan, which is, nandun nga po yung mga pangalan niyo po.
Your Honor, sa sariling pagkaintindi ko at sa sariling analisar ko, parang yung nakaraang administrasyon, pag hindi ka kakampi nila or kaalyado, pwede kang ilagay sa narco-list. Yun lang po ang ano ko yung sa tingin ko nitong narco-list na ito. Kasi maraming inosente, maraming malinis na tao, may mga na sali sa narco-list, hindi nga marunong magsigarilyo, nasali na sa narco-list. Walang insaktong validation. Bago ilagay sa narco-list, sana imbestigahan talaga ng mabuti kung talaga bang totoo. Yun lang po.
Mr. Chair, from the interpellation of the Honorable Jinky Luistro, sabi nga po niya, she's malaking hiwaga po kung paano ginawa itong narco-list na to, kung paano po nagawa ang listahan na yan. At based po sa mga statements saka sworn affidavit ni Ginoong Espinosa, para po siyang parte po ng pelikula. Para po siyang parang nagamit po siya sa isang, they're trying to paint a bigger picture, Mr. Chair. Naniniwala po ba kayo na after po nung nangyari sa inyo, nagamit din po yung sitwasyon nyo na parang lalong gamitin itong narco-list na mag-instill po ng fear, magbigay po ng takot at magbigay ng certain alertness po sa mga kasama sa listahan na yun?
Pwede niyo ba pong ulitin ang katanungan, Your Honor?
Mr. Chair, Ginoong Espinosa, naniniwala po ba kayo na yung sitwasyon nyo ay ginawang example po para sa mga iba pa pong nakalista sa narcolist para parang ginawang sample, parang ginamit po yung exact situation nyo sa pagturo ng mga pinagbibintangan sa nangyari po sa inyong ama. Naniniwala po ba kayo na parte po lahat to ng mas malaking, sabi nga nila, mas malaking script, mas malaking pelikula?
Opo. Ito ay lahat scripted na mga nilalagay nila sa narcoles. Hindi ito nakakatulong sa gobyerno natin.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to put on record na marami pong pagkakataon na yung mga kritiko po at nagbabato po sa Quadcom ay sinasabi na ang Quadcom po ay merong script. Pero nakikita po natin ngayon based po sa ating investigasyon, sa napakatagal na po na ginagawa ng mga different committees, na tila po parang ang script po hindi po nanggaling sa mga investigasyon natin. Nagagamit po itong narcolist, nagagamit po itong mga ganitong sitwasyon para po parang pinaglalaroan yung mga tao, ginagawa sila mga pawn. At nakakalungkot nga po dahil nakikita po natin yung mga iba't ibang biktima, lalo po sa mga extrajudicial killings at yung mga parte po ng listahan na to, Mr. Chair. Hindi na po ako magdadagdag ng mga tanong, Mr. Chair. Bibigyan ko po ng oras yung mga ating ibang kasamahan. Salamat po sa oras, Mr. Chair. Salamat po, Ginoong Kerwin Espinosa. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Ortega. The next to interpolate is Congressman Rog Gutierrez. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon po sa ating mga resource persons today. Mr. Chair, konting katanungan lang po kay Mr. Espinosa in relation to the testimony that he has bared today. Unang-una sa lahat po, I think short manifestation, as properly mentioned by Congresswoman Jinky, napakahirap po. Sana po maintindihan po ni Mr. Espinosa, as much as we appreciate po yung pag-coming forward dito at pagbibigay ng testimony ukol sa events na ito. Generally, mahirap po talaga pag ito ay based on recantation or pagbabawi ng testimony na previous na nangyari. Although naintindihan po natin, this would not be the first time. So in general, this does not mean naman po na we will disregard the affidavit or the testimony, but it just means that it would need further verification. Because of course, hindi rin natin maiwasan yung mga nabanggit niyong circumstances. Minsan, merong kasamang duress or tinatawag natin na pinipilit po kayo through other circumstances. So, naintindihan po namin yan. But to further flesh it out, we just like to go through it. Kailangan po talagang suriin yung iyong testimony. So that, Mr. Chair, yung first na question ko po kay Mr. Espinosa. Napaka-interesting po, no? Kasi sa yung sinumpaang salaysay, nabanggit po ninyo in paragraph 2 na una mo pong nalaman yung balita tungkol sa pag-include po sa inyo ng inyong ama sa narcolist. This was sometime in June 2016, nung nasa Malaysia po kayo. Is that correct po, Mr. Chair?
Hindi, mga August na po.
Mga August.
Mga August na po or July. Mga last week of July o mga ganon.
That's the first time po na nalaman nyo na nasa narcolist po kayo?
Yes po.
So yung nabanggit po na June 2016 is nung umalis lang pala kayo for Malaysia?
Wala na po ako dito.
Okay. So to clarify po, June 2016, pumunta po kayong Malaysia. And then nung before kayo umuwi, nalaman nyo lang sometime in July.
Opo. Yes po.
And Mr. Chair, I'd like to direct my question to the PIDEA. May we verify when was the first time that the former president released the narco list?
Your Honor, can I ask my intelligence officer who is in possession of this list explain?
Yes, sir. Your Honor, from July 4 until December of 2016, the former president were already showing and mentioning names. But officially, sir, PIDEA was tasked to sit down only on January 4 of 2017 to validate the list. The first ever list, sir.
Mr. Chair, so given that information, if the timeline po is sometime in July, last part of July 2016, this is still the unvalidated list as per PIDEA. Would that be correct, Mr. Chair?
That's correct, sir. The first list, sir, were already more than 3,000, and it was not yet validated. So it was a raw data that was provided to the PIDEA as the secretariat only, and with the intention that it will be validated, sir.
So, Mr. Chair, although this is still later on po in our interpellation, no? Pero as we can see, the end result of having been included in this drug list of initially July 2016, nagkaroon na po ng, I don't know if you would call this an operation, or, well, yes, actually there was an operation, Mr. Chair, no? With the PNP, they actually conducted the raid, and this was generally attributed to being included in the list. So we could see, Mr. Chair, and I understand that this would not be something for the PIDEA to answer, but the original unverified list as of July already resulted in these operations po. No? But we'll go to that as on the later time as we proceed. Going back to Mr. Espinosa, Mr. Chair, katanungan lang po, nabanggit po ninyo sa paragraph number 6. Sabi po niyo na sa madaling salita, planted lang ng mga polis ang droga na sinabi nilang natagpuan sa bahay ng aking papa para makasuhan ako at ang aking papa. And later on, you went on to mention, pagkatapos ng raid, sinampahan ako ng kaso at mga ilang araw lamang lumabas na ang warrant of arrest. Mr. Espinosa, ano po yung mga kasong isinampa sa iyo base po dito sa raid na ito?
Ang na-experience ko na mga kaso na sinampa sa akin, nalilito na ako sa karami-dami na sinampa sa akin. Pero sa awa ng Diyos, na-dismiss na lahat ng drug cases ko. Siguro ang maka-explain yan, abogado ko na lang siguro kasi siya ang may alam dyan.
Mr. Chair, under our rules, generally, the lawyers who assist the resource persons are here to just simply manifest or inform their clients of the rights that they may have in this committee. But in this instance, Mr. Chair, since we do have him present, would the committee be amenable to hear his answer regarding this question?
Yes, I think we can allow the counsel of Mr. Espinosa to respond to the question raised by Congressman Gutierrez. Attorney Palad, can you please respond to the questions raised by Congressman Gutierrez?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the indulgence. Mr. Chair, with that, I'd just like to reiterate po. No? So in the case po, in the sinampalang salaysay, nabanggit po sa paragraph 6 na may ilang mga kaso na sinampahan kay Mr. Espinosa. May we know then from the lawyer of Mr. Espinosa the nature of these cases and their status po?
Good afternoon po. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and the committee. Your Honors, ang mga kaso pong isinampa kay Mr. Espinosa ay mga sumusunod po. Related po to sa conspiracy to commit illegal drug trading. Ito po yung resulta ng kanyang pagtistigo sa Senado. Lahat po ng salaysay na ginamit sa Senado po na sinabi niya, yun po yung ginamit na ebidensya to file the following cases. Sa RTC 64 Makati po, illegal drug trading case. Na-dismiss na po ito noong December 17, 2021 based on demurrer to evidence. Pangalawang kaso po sa RTC 65 Makati, illegal drug trading case. Na-dismiss na po ito noong June 6, 2023, demurrer to evidence granted. Pangatlong kaso po, yung illegal possession of firearms and explosives. Ito po yung raid na lumusob yung grupo nila Joby Espinido on the pretext na may armed men sa bahay nila Mayor Espinosa. Tapos pagdating po doon, ang kwento ni Kerwin, nilapag na lang yung mga bangkay at yung mga balat granada. RTC 16 Manila, case dismissed po ito noong September 4, 2023. Decision granted acquittal in both cases. Next po, pang-apat na kaso, RTC 51 Manila, illegal drug trading case. Case dismissed on December 13, 2023, demurrer to evidence granted. Panglimang kaso po, RTC 14 Baybay Leyte, illegal drug trading case. Case dismissed on June 5, 2024, demurrer to evidence granted. Lahat po ng drug cases na dismiss on the ground na the prosecution failed to prove its case. Kahit isang beses po, hindi ho nagtistigo si Mr. Kerwin, dinismiss agad ng mga husgado. Yun lang po. Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, do we have, siguro to direct to the committee secretariat, do we have members of the DOJ or perhaps the National Prosecution Service present? May we ask them to join us for some clarificatory questions?
DOJ, the representative of the DOJ.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, just to clarify po sa atin dito lahat, although I think as for lawyers familiar po sila sa demurrer of evidence. But Mr. Chair, may we ask first question to the DOJ. Ano po yung position po natin sa DOJ, sir?
I'm Provincial Prosecutor, Assistant Provincial Prosecutor James Orven Escalona from the DOJ IACAT.
Mr. Chair, would this mean by virtue of your position, you were tasked with the specific cases of Mr. Espinosa or hindi po kayo aware?
I'm sorry.
Were the cases of Mr. Espinosa under your jurisdiction?
No,
Mr. Chair?
sir. Actually, we were invited because for purposes of issues on POGO.
On Pogo.
Yes, sir.
Well, in that case, Mr. Chair, just a simple question in general na lang po. Would the good gentleman from the DOJ care to explain what the demurrer to evidence is, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir. Demurrer to the evidence is, it's a process wherein it would appear that the evidence of guilt was not strong enough to convict the accused of the crime charged.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So generally po sa proseso ng ating korte, the prosecution will present evidence and then the defense would also be allowed to present their own evidence to refute the allegations. However, in the case of demurrer, the defense feels that yung prosecution po, napakahina po ng kanilang kaso to the point that they no longer need to present their own evidence in defense. Would that be a fair statement po, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Chair, nakita po natin sa dami-daming kaso na isinampa kay Mr. Kerwin Espinosa, karamihan po dito ay na-dismiss by virtue of yung demurrer evidence po. So, this would mean na kulang po yung ebidensya ng prosecution. It begs the question po, bakit po ito nangyari? Kung nagkaroon po tayo ng raid, nagkaroon po tayo ng search warrant, and daming operation po, it seems to be lacking po, no, Mr. Chair. So that's just something for us to consider later on, especially in consideration of the testimony that Mr. Kerwin was mentioning earlier. Mr. Chair, then my next question is on paragraph number 9. Namagit po dito na may inissue na search warrant dahil may baril at droga daw siya sa loob ng selda. Mr. Chair, this is in relation po to the father. Ano po yung information na alam niyo po dito, Mr. Espinosa? Kasi syempre naintindihan po natin, wala naman po kayo dito sa selda, hindi naman po kayo incarcerated here at the time. Saan niyo po narinig yung information na yung basis ng search warrant ay dahil may baril at may droga daw?
Sa mga detainee na lang po.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, sa detainees na lang. Again, this is reminiscent of what Congresswoman Luistro mentioned na while we would like to give credence to the testimony, hindi po to personal knowledge ni Mr. Espinosa. But it's something that we can consider na lang po siguro. I'll just go through po the list of yung dito sa yung testimony before I ask further questions. Mr. Chair, yung sa paragraph number 12, nabanggit po dito na ito yung pagdating niyo po galing sa Abu Dhabi. Binili po kayo dito sa Pilipinas. Bandang alas 11 ng gabi, sinundo ako ng mga kapulisan dito sa Pilipinas gamit ang isang puting Land Cruiser. Isa sa sumundo sa akin ay si General Bato de la Rosa kung saan sinabi niya sa akin na idawit ko si Peter Lim sa kalakaran ng droga sa Pilipinas, pati na daw si Laila de Lima para madiin. At bago pa man yun, pinilit nila ako na umamin na ako ay may kinalaman sa droga. Ito ay sinasabi niya sa akin habang pupunta ako ng Krame. Pagdating namin doon ay may media at press con ang mga polis at sinali nila ako. Mr. Chair, this would be the heaviest allegation in relation to the testimony that Mr. Espinosa has put forth during the Senate hearings. Siyempre po, naging basehan po yung kanyang testimony sa Senado for various cases. And I understand, Mr. Chair, we don't have a representative here to tell us kung gaano kala. But perhaps, Mr. Chair, I can ask the lawyer of Mr. Espinosa to his knowledge. Mr. Chair, yung testimony po ni Mr. Espinosa na binanggit niya sa Senado, was this made the basis of the cases against Senator Laila de Lima?
Mr. Chair, ang recollection ko po dyan, yung testimony ni Kerwin sa Senado was used by the government to file cases against several persons like Kerwin Espinosa, Peter Co, Marcelo Adorco, Lovely Impal, Ruel Malandangan, and others. Pero hindi po nakasama ni Kerwin sa mga kasong ito si Senator de Lima. Ang nangyari po dyan, yung testimony niya sa Senado na sinasabing nagbigay siya ng 8 million kay Senator de Lima, yung testimony na yon together with the picture taken sa Baguio, ginamit po yon ng DOJ panel to file case against Senator de Lima doon po sa 3 illegal drug trading cases sa Muntinlupa na na-dismiss na rin po yung 3 yon. Doon po, nabanggit, inattach po yung Senate transcript at yung affidavit panghukuman ni Kerwin to link Senator de Lima into the illegal drug trading cases sa Muntinlupa. Pero hindi po naipresenta si Mr. Espinosa sa Muntinlupa courts because some cases were dismissed based on demurrer to evidence din po, based sa recollection ko po.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the clarification. So, Mr. Espinosa, nabanggit po ninyo dito, ito siguro ang naging reason po kung bakit kayo nag-testify sa Senado. At kayo po ay napilitan na ngayon, sinasabi na hindi po totoo yung mga nabanggit mo sa Senado. Mr. Chair, additional question, were there other instances po na kayo po ay nag-testify? Ever ba, na-invite po ba kayo sa any of these cases, whether against Ms. de Lima or any of the other persons, or lahat po talaga nito ang basihan ay simpleng iyong affidavit dun sa Senado?
Sa mga kaso ko po, nag-testify lang po ako sa court, yung sa baril po. At yung ibang cases, drug cases, hindi na po ako nakapag-testify kasi nag-grant yung demurrer of evidence namin po.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Pero naintindihan ko po na yung kaso doon sa illegal firearms and yung sa drug cases, this is in relation kaso against you po. Pero were you ever presented as witness? Kayo po ay naimbita bilang testigo in cases against other persons po?
Hindi naman po. Wala po.
So despite having coming forward sa Senado, despite the heavy allegations that you put forward sa iyong mga affidavits sa Senado at statements that you have made under oath, never po kayo na-invite in any other case po?
Hindi po. Wala po.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, my next question is on paragraph 17. Nabanggit po ninyo dito na noong natapos ang salaysay ko, after 2 days, pumunta si General Bato para kausapin ako. Pagkatapos nito ay tinawagan namin si Jovi Espinido gamit ang cellphone niya para tanungin siya tungkol sa CCTV footage ng Zelan Hotel sa Albuera, Leyte. Mr. Chair, ano po yung significance nitong CCTV footage? Kasi po, if I'm not mistaken, nabanggit mo lang dito, very specific detail po ito, na pinahanap itong CCTV footage pero hindi po nabanggit in any other portion, I think, of your affidavit. Ano po yung kinalaman ng CCTV footage sa inyong salaysay?
Mr. Chair, ang CCTV na yun hinanap ni General Bato dahil sa pagbigay ng aking ama ng pera kay Colonel Marcos sa panahon na yun. Kaya hinanap yung CCTV footage at yung hard drive. Yun po.
Mr. Chair, si Colonel Marcos ay binanggit mo rin sa affidavit. If I'm not mistaken, ito, number 23. Noong andun ako sa Senado, sinunod ko lahat ng nakalagay sa affidavit dahil may kopya ako. Pero lahat ng sinabi ko doon ay walang katotohanan. Ang totoo lang doon ay yung binanggit ko na humingi si Marvin Marcos ng 4 million pesos sa papa ko para sa kampanya ng asawa niya. Ito po ba yung incident na binabanggit ninyo?
Yes po, Your Honor. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no further questions on the affidavit, but I will now ask other questions na lang po in general. So with that, Mr. Chair, this Marvin Marcos that you mentioned is the same Colonel Marcos that you pointed out earlier. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes po.
Okay. Mr. Chair, before I proceed to questions for Mr. Marcos, for Colonel Marcos, I'd just like to reiterate po yung aking nakikita dito sa affidavit ni Mr. Espinosa. It would seem that these are very heavy allegations, but it generally can be run down into two, especially in relation to investigation of the Quadcom. Una po, nakikita natin isang operational modus nila regarding if ever it is proven to be true, of course. We still have to take into consideration that there was a recanting. So hindi pa naman tayo sigurado versus yung other oath niya, other statements under oath niya. But it seems to be that first there's an allegation, heavy allegations regarding the conducting of the extrajudicial killings, if it can be categorized as such, in relation to the father of Mr. Espinosa. Dahil po nakikita natin na isama siya po sa narco list, nag-operate po yung police, and it resulted in death. I don't know if this is part of their modus, but if he could be considered a high-value target, which is the second component ng yung Oplan double barrel. But here we see how the narco list plays into the operation of the PNP. But on the second, and I think is more pressing, if it is proven true po yung testimony ni Mr. Espinosa that he was only forced to give that testimony in the Senate, there seems to be a use of resource persons for political gain or political testimony. Kasi po, I'm not sure, pero Mr. Espinosa, may kinalaman po ba yung raid sa bahay ng yung father or even the killing of your father dun sa ginawang pilit sa'yo na gumawa ng affidavit sa Senado?
Pwede mo ba, Mr. Chair, pwede bang ipaulit ang...
Mr. Chair, I will rephrase.
Tanong.
Opo, kasi po, sa iyong sinumpaang salaysay, dalawa pong nakikita natin. Una, yung portion po relating to sa pagpatay ng iyong father, which is in relation po to sa EJK. Tapos yung second naman po is in relation po yung pagpilit sa'yo na magtestigo sa Senado. Yung itong dalawang incidents nito, related po ba sila? Sa tingin niyo po, ang nangyari sa iyong father, yung pag-raid sa bahay, yung pagpatay sa kanya, yung search warrant, ito po ay part ng modus para ikaw ay pilitin sa Senado? Or separate naman po to as part of EJK?
Siguro sa aking sariling pag-intindi, related po.
Related po. So tingin niyo po, ang ginawa po sa inyong tatay ay related na para takutin po kayo?
Opo, sa aking sariling pagkaintindi.
So yung nabanggit po ninyo dito sa affidavit, na-mention mo po kasi sa paragraph 23, na ang totoo lang doon ay binanggit ko na humingi si Marvin Marcos ng 4 million sa papa ko. Is this part siguro po ng motive ng nangyari po doon sa iyong tatay?
Hindi siguro.
Coincidence lang po yun.
Baka ang nangyari sa papa ko, parang sa mga operatives may nasa likod or nagbigay ng instruction sa kanila na ito ang gawin mo. Hindi ito ang motive ng yung pagbigay ng 4 million kay kay Sir Marcos.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'll now be directing my questions to Colonel Marcos. Of course, Colonel Marcos, meron pong nabanggit po dito na aligasyon regarding po na yung 4 million pesos na hiningi daw po ninyo kay former Mayor Espinosa. Mr. Chair, do you confirm or deny this allegation?
Morning po ulit. Hapon na ba? First of all, sir, pertaining po sa sinasabi po ni Kerwin tungkol po sa 4 million, Sa Senate hearing po, ang sabi niya 3 million. Ngayon, ang sabi niya 4 million. Tapos sabi daw ng tatay niya. So he has no personal knowledge. I've already denied this several times, even in the Senate. During the time of his accusation, or yung sinasabi niya, siguro sinasabi niya yan kasi galit siya sa akin. Sabi ko, dahil sa nangyari sa tatay niya. Normal po na reaksyon ng isang tao. Pero para tumanggap po ako ng ganung klaking pera galing sa kanya, sabi pa niya, campaign period. Nasa Albuera po ako, election na week na po. Tapos na ang campaign period. Hindi naman ako, sabi ko, during that time, I was only the Deputy Provincial Director of Leyte PPO. Handling administrative matters. I was deployed in Albuera for election purposes to supervise only the 4th District because it was considered as a hotspot. Hindi ko kailangan manduhan ang mga pulis doon o ano pa man. Hindi naman ako provincial director, hindi ako regional director, hindi rin ako operatiba ng illegal drugs para proteksyonan siya on something that I will ask for exchange for money. And I want also to straight, sir, Mr. Chair, on the record, ulitin ko po, the murder case filed against us to the death of his father and Raul Yap, we were all acquitted by the court. We were, kumbaga,
Mr. Chair?
we were vindicated, kumbaga, nabigyan ng hustisya yung mga akusasyon sa amin. Ngayon, sir, itong raid na 11 kilos,
Mr. Chair.
it was for...
Point of order.
What is the point of order, Congressman Akop?
The resource person is not answering appropriately the question of the Honorable Rodriguez. I think we should remind the resource person to answer directly the question of the Honorable Congressman. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Akop. Colonel Marcos, please answer the questions asked by Congressman Gutierrez.
Mr. Chair, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Although I believe Colonel Marcos did answer yung allegations 4 million, it's just that he went on to discuss other things. But I hope the good Colonel could understand that we have a line of questioning and it's one topic, one answer lang naman po. No?
Yes,
we will proceed with the raid po siguro at a later time.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chair. His statement is not true.
Not true.
Most of his statement na sinabi niya kanina, marami po doon hindi totoo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, follow-up question on that. But did your wife run for office at the time, Mr. Chair?
Colonel Marcos, can you please answer the question?
Yes, Mr. Chair, sorry, a follow-up question, Colonel.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
If you're, just to confirm na yung asawa niyo po ay tumakbo as alleged
Yes,
na
during that
kandidato
time
po.
on 2016, she ran for Vice Mayor of Pastrana, Leyte, pero she lost in the election.
Thank you,
Natalo
Mr.
po.
Chair. Mr. Chair, some questions naman po, Colonel Marcos. And siguro from this point on, you'll be able to explain your side po na binabanggit po ninyo. Because I agree with Congresswoman Luistro. Generally, yung testimony po ni Mr. Espinosa would be shaded with doubt. Kasi po, this is based on, this is a recanting of a previous testimony under oath, previously affidavit, sworn under oath. However, what draws our attention is that it is surrounded by apparent irregularities, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I mentioned this because one glaring thing that we've seen is yung the circumstances surrounding the death of the former Mayor Espinosa. So in relation to that, I have some follow-up questions. Mr. Chair, at the time si Colonel Marcos, kayo po ay CIDG, hepe ng CIDG for Region 8. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, ano po yung inyong katungkulan bilang chief ng CIDG 8?
Way back 2016, during the raid in Baybay City Jail, I was the regional chief of Region 8, sir.
Regional chief po kayo? Region
Yes
8
po,
po.
ng CIDG po.
Of CIDG. Mr. Chair, so in relation po yung sa kaso ng former mayor, if ever, kasi I believe the case that was, if correct, ano po yung kaso that became basis for the issuance of the search warrant?
Kaya po kami nag-apply ng search warrant dyan because during the raid of Colonel Espinido, in which they were able to recover 11 kilos of shabu and several firearms, not only firearms but bank documents involving 5.1 billion pesos in current account and another intact money of a fake corporation by his family named Blue Oceanic Corporation, found out by AMLA, amounting to 5.1 billion. This was pronounced by the former president. Na-check po ito, na positive yung pera na yan. Yung sinasabi niya magpapakatotoo siya, ba't hindi niya sa uli ang pera na yan? Ang dami niyang biktima.
Mr. Chair?
Then, the issuance po yung search warrant, kasi si Espinido po ang nag-raid, pero joined kami as investigation team. So, we were the one who filed the case, kaya po lumabas ang warrant of arrest ni Mayor Espinosa at saka po ni Kerwin Espinosa. And during the issuance of warrant of arrest, hindi po si Judge Cabaluna ang nag-issue ng search warrant. Mali po yung sinasabi niya. Ang nag-issue ng search warrant, judge po ng Samar, si Judge Sabari. Katapos, I'm stating here statements based on records and public records. Sa warrant of arrest na in-issue, Major Laraga filed application for search warrant because of an valid information that there were continuous of drug trade inside the Baybay City Jail. And some of the jail guards are involved.
Sige, Colonel Marcos.
Yung po ang dahilan bakit po kami nag-apply ng search warrant. Kaya po namin in-implement yun. At saka yung sinasabi niya nag-face the wall, hindi po kami pinapapasok sa jail. Kaya po namin ni-restraint yung mga jail guard doon kasi they were armed. Armado po sila. Hindi kami pinapasok. We were forced to use bolt cutter, which is specified in the search warrant that we can break through if the search warrant issued by the judge is not honored.
Okay, sandali lang.
Yung po yung
sandali lang,
totoo
Colonel.
dyan.
Yes, Congressman Gutierrez, is that the reply to the question you asked, Colonel Marcos?
Mr. Chair, more than what I was seeking, but that's fine, Mr. Chair.
Yun nga,
Mr. Chair,
Colonel Marcos, bibigyan ka namin ng pagkakataon magsalita. Ang ginagawa natin
Yes, Your Honor.
ay yung tanong, yun lang muna sagutin mo. Okay? Para hindi
Yes,
ho
Your
tayo
Honor.
tumagal. Now, you have, please wrap up, Congressman Gutierrez.
Mr. Chair, yung katanungan ko po natin is kung ano po yung basis ng search warrant. I understand that there are a lot of preliminary facts that would establish any need. But for one, yung nabanggit po na AMLAC, I'm not sure if bank transactions would be covered by search warrant dun sa Leyte. But I understand eventually, nasagot naman ni Colonel Marcos na the reason that they needed a search warrant was some alleged irregularities within Baybay sub-provincial jail. Tama po ba?
Yes, inside the provincial jail. And we have also information that Mayor Espinosa was allowed to go out during nighttime by the jail warden.
Mr. Chair, but based on records po, yung violation that was made basis for the search warrant was violation of RA 10591 or the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act. Nabanggit po ninyo earlier that the basis was illegal drug trade. Which was which po kaya, Mr. Chair?
Pareho po, Mr. Chair. Mayroon pong information na continuous ang drug trade. Mayroon din pong information that they were may armas po na nandoon na hawak po yung si Raul Yap at saka si Mayor Espinosa. And hindi po totoong niyakap si Mayor Espinosa based on record.
Mr. Chair, again, I would like to ask for a point of order.
Yes, Congressman Acop.
May we ask the resource person to answer directly the question of the Honorable Gutierrez? Kasi yung sinasagot mo, Colonel Marcos, ay hindi na appropriate dun sa katanungan ni Honorable Gutierrez. Antayin mo na ako magtanong sa iyo.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, thank you for that point of order. And Mr. Chair, the issue nga po is that there seemed to be a disconnect. Although there might be an information for both illegal drug trade and violations of the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act, as far as the records show, it's only based on the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act. So yung next question ko, Mr. Chair, if I would be
Yes,
with
please,
indulgence
your
to
last
wrap up.
question. Thank you.
Normal po ba na nagsuserve ng search warrant sa loob ng kulungan? If ever, since I'm wrapping up, Mr. I had more questions, Mr. Chair, but I'll probably reserve it for another round. Pero if Colonel Marcos could narrate to us any other instance in which a search warrant was issued against a jail in his watch. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Actually, sir, when we applied for the search warrant, there's no prohibition or any or OCA circular na nag-exist. We asked other judges kung may prohibition ba na mag-apply kami ng search warrant sa isang jail facility or any government facility. Wala naman daw po. So we tried applying and it was granted. Yun lang po. No other reasons po, sir.
Mr. Chair, yung second question ko po, have you ever sought or applied for a search warrant for a jail in any other circumstance?
Meron po yung sa Abuyog Penal Colony po, sir.
Mr. Chair, and what was the result of that application?
It was also granted, sir.
And the result of the operation, Mr. Chair?
We were able also to recover illegal drugs inside.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Given that my time is up, I will yield to other interpellators. Maraming salamat po, Colonel Marcos. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Gutierrez. The next to interpellate is Congressman Jay Kung Hun. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Espinosa, dito po. Yes. Mr. Espinosa, magandang hapon po sa inyo. Tama po ba yung narinig ko na nag-file po kayo ng COC for mayor ng Albuera Leyte?
Yes po. Mr. Chair.
Bakit niyo po naisipan na ngayon lumabas o magsabi ng katotohanan, lalong-lalo na rito sa Quadcom? Siyempre, panahon ng eleksyon ngayon. Baka naman po mamaya isipin na ginagawa niyo ito para sa election campaign o sa media mileage.
Ginagawa ko to na lumutang dito sa Quadcom kasi napanood ko marami nang lumutang na mga biktima sa EGK na marami nang naglakas na loob na isiniwalat ang mga hinanaing nila sa pangyayari ng patayan sa ating bansa, sa EGK. Yun ang nag-udyok sa akin kung bakit ako lumutang dito sa Quadcom. Walang halong politika po ito.
Okay, Mr. Espinosa, kasi gusto lang po nating siguraduhin na ang iyong motibo maayos at nararapat.
Ang hangad ko at ang purpose ng aking paglutang dito, hindi politika, kundi ang hustisya na makamit naming pamilya sa aming ama na pinatay na parang hayop.
Mr. Espinosa, bakit naman po parang ang sobrang malas po ninyo ng inyong pamilya? Ano po ba ang naging motibo para ilagay ang inyong pangalan ng iyong ama at ikaw sa listahan?
Kasi hindi po kami supporter ni Presidente Duterte nung kapanahunan na tumakbo ang papa ko.
Tingin mo yun naging dahilan, Mr. Chair?
Sa tingin ko, yun ang dahilan. Kasi maraming mga biktima na hindi supporters niya, ganon din ang nangyari.
Mr. Chair, may nabanggit ka na abogado ng tatay nyo nung humingi siya ng tulong dahil nasama siya sa listahan ng dating Pangulong Presidente Duterte. Sabi nyo, kinonsulta ninyo ay isang Attorney John Ungab. Tama po ba?
Tama po.
Ito po ba yung Attorney John Ungab na pinatay noong February 20, 2018?
Saan napatay po? Sa Cebu. Sa Cebu po.
Pinatay po ba ito?
Yan po. Tama po yan.
At yung piskal, si Mary Ann Castro, siya rin ba yung Mary Ann Castro na pinatay noong January 17, 2019?
Opo.
Oh, thank you.
Lahat ng tumulong sa amin, pinapatay. Pati si Attorney Bato, may isa pa na abogado na pinatay din sa
Sino-
Tacloban.
Sinong attorney ba to ito?
Ay,
Kasi baka mamaya magkaroon tayo ng confusion eh.
Rogelio Bato. Family name niya ay Bato. Pinatay din sa Tacloban.
Sino tingin mo nagpapatay sa kanya?
Siguro mga nasa matataas na pwesto yun.
Okay.
Kasi ipinagtanggol ang karapatan namin. Gusto nilang wala sigurong magtanggol sa amin. Kaya lahat ng tumulong sa amin, patay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, pwede po ba akong magtanong sa Commission on Human Rights, Mr. Chair?
Please proceed.